Alex Saab!
Free, free!
Alex Saab!
Free, free!
Alex Saab!
So I wanted to ask a comrade or folks here if anybody would like to volunteer in taking pictures or recording. I see Ismail's doing it. But anybody else, this would be awesome. If people could like pull out their phones and we could record, take pictures, you know, we can send it out to the folks out in Venezuela that right now they're commemorating the 10-year anniversary of what they call La Siembra. Because we don't want to talk about like passing. We want to talk about La Siembra, the planting of a big-time figure like Hugo Chávez, who influenced the whole continent, who influenced the whole world, and who was a true hero of humanity.
¡Chávez vive, vive!
La lucha sigue, sigue. Chávez vive, vive.
La lucha sigue, sigue.
Chávez vive, vive.
La lucha sigue, sigue.
Chávez vive, vive.
La lucha sigue, sigue.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido
Jamás será vencido.
El pueblo unido.
Jamás será vencido.
El pueblo unido.
Jamás será vencido.
¡Viva Venezuela bolivariana! ¡Viva Venezuela bolivariana! ¡Viva Venezuela
Mariana.
¡Viva Venezuela! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta que camina! ¡La espada de Bolívar por América Latina! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta que camina! ¡La espada de Bolívar por América Latina! No to sanctions, sanctions kill! No to sanctions!
Sanctions kill.
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 All right, I see we have candles lit. We're about to get lit. We're about to get this program started. I mean, I already started it, but I wanted to start off with an opening statement. Just really quickly, I'm very glad to have organized this with Lucy Paguada, with the Workers' World Party, with Richie. Richie made that beautiful flyer. I just want to make that commemoration. Like I said, I felt that this was needed for us people here in New York City, in the belly of the beast, to commemorate Hugo Chávez, even especially us New Yorkers, knowing that what President Chávez did in 2005, how he showed solidarity to our people in the South Bronx. The only presidents that have gone to the South Bronx are Commander Hugo Chávez and Commander Fidel Castro Ruz. Can I get a Viva Fidel?
Viva Fidel!
Viva Fidel!
Viva Fidel!
Viva Chávez!
Viva Chávez!
Actually, where's Richie? No, if you gave us hold.
Free, free! Alex Saab!
Free, free!
Alex Saab!
Free, free!
Alex Saab!
Free, free!
Alex Saab!
All right, so greetings, friends, comrades, revolutionary internationalists of New York City. Thank you for all of you for being here today. We are gathered here in front of the statue of the liberator Simon Bolivar today to commemorate the life and legacy of the eternal commander of the Bolivarian Revolution, Commander Hugo Rafael Chávez Frias, who transitioned 10 years ago on this day. We are here to honor his legacy of service to the Venezuelan and Latin American people and the struggle against U.S. and Western imperialism. Revolutionaries in Venezuela and from around the world today are commemorating his commitment to internationalism through gatherings, performances, and a pledge to redouble our efforts to defend the socialist values of Commander Hugo Chávez and the Bolivarian Revolution. The Venezuelan people are calling these commemorations 10 años de la siembra, or 10 years of the planting, because of the support of the Bolivarian Revolution understands even though Commander Hugo Chávez is no longer with us physically, he planted the seeds of revolution in Venezuela, and spirit still lives on through the ongoing work to defend the gains of the 21st century socialist revolution. Hugo Rafael Chávez Frias was an Afro-indigenous mestizo man that came from humble beginnings in the Venezuelan llanos, plain fields of Barinas. As a young military officer with the Venezuelan army, he saw firsthand the atrocities committed under the Fourth Republic neoliberalist government of Carlos Andrés Pérez, whose government massacred thousands of Venezuelans during the popular Caracazo anti-neoliberal uprising of 1989. In response, Commander Hugo Chávez would organize an insurgency with other radical young military officers known as the Bolivarian Revolution Movement 200 for the 4th of February rebellion of 1992. This military failed rebellion, Chávez would be arrested and before going to jail, he would address the Venezuelan people from live television with 2 points. The first being that he took personal responsibility for this Bolivarian military rebellion, and the second, uttering his most famous phrase, por ahora, for now, where he expressed that for now, the uprising has been suspended. This por ahora would be Chávez's promises towards his Venezuelan people for what was to manifest later on. During his 2 years in the Yare prison with his legal team led by Celia Flores, who's the wife now of President Nicolás Maduro Moros, Chávez would be brainstorming on building a civilian movement. After being released from prison in 1994, Chávez, alongside left-wing groups in Venezuela, such as the Movement of the Fifth Republic and the Movement for Socialism, would organize to win the presidential elections. Chávez's bloc would be successful in garnering support of the Venezuelan masses, winning him 56.2% of the vote and sending him to the Miraflores Palace in 1999. Commander Chávez's Fifth Republic government will harness the revolutionary imagination of historic Venezuelan heritage figures like Simon Bolivar, Simon Rodriguez, and Ezequiel Zamora, giving birth to the Bolivarian Revolution, named after the father liberator of our Americas. The Bolivarian Revolution would be a hegemonic counter to the Venezuelan oligarchy, the Washington Consensus, and the Monroe Doctrine, which this dreaded document that turns 200 years old this year. The 21st century socialist Latin American revolution would ensure popular democracy for Venezuelans of Afro descendants, indigenous people, women, students, and workers. Following the continental vision of Bolivar, Chávez's Bolivarian Venezuela would push for greater integration of Latin America and the Caribbean. He will work to establish integration mechanisms to increase cooperation through organizations such as ALBA, UNASUR, and SALAC, which would be the maximum expression of Latin American and Caribbean continental integration because it brings together all the countries of the region, forging La Patria Grande, the greater homeland. Chávez is beloved by the people of Venezuela for opposing U.S. and European imperialism, implementing economic and social programs to lift millions out of poverty. Chávez put into place a democracy where people have direct participation and are leading agents of their own transformation under his leadership. Venezuela nationalized its natural resource to benefit the people and make greater achievements in literacy and health outcomes. Chávez is loved by the masses of people around the world because he demonstrated that it is possible to build a society where the basic needs of human life the basic needs of human life are not commodified, where healthcare, food, housing, and access to technology, to sports, and even to culture are available to all. Chávez internationalism was another big component of his life. He showed international solidarity to the people of the third world that were being oppressed by imperial forces. He spoke out against the atrocities that were being committed to the Iraqi people with the George W.H. Bush administration's invasion, and condemning the state of Israel's mistreatment of the Palestinian people. He also advocated for Venezuela to have strong ties with other nations seeking sovereignty and struggling against U.S. imperialism across the global south. Countries as Russia, China, Iran, and several countries in Mother Africa. Chávez even showed solidarity to the poor and the oppressed from within the empire. An example of this is in 2005's visit to the South Bronx in New York City. The South Bronx, with a predominant demographic of African Americans and Latinos living there, is considered the third poorest congressional district in the United States. Commander Chávez came to this black and brown community and showed his solidarity to the people of the South Bronx by donating $5 million to grassroots groups and to pay for much needed projects like restoring the Bronx River, after school programs, literacy programs, and food cooperatives. In 2007, Hugo Chávez famously sent free heating oil to poor families in the South Bronx through Venezuela's Citgo Petroleum. Citgo went to deliver over 100 million worth of heating oil to more than 200,000 U.S. families in 23 states. This is why, as working class New Yorkers, we are deeply in gratitude and appreciated of Commander Chávez for his solidarity to our people in the South Bronx and the United States. 50 years later, after the fascist overthrow of Salvador Allende, the Chilean president, and the beginnings of neoliberalism around the world, we look towards the Bolivarian Revolution as a beacon that a new world is possible for the rest of the earth, which is a gift that Commander Hugo Rafael Chávez Frias left for all of us. This is why today we stand in firm solidarity with Chávez's legacy, with the legitimate president, Nicolás Maduro Moros, and the Venezuelan people in defending the achievements of the Bolivarian Revolution and Venezuelan democracy from U.S. and European sabotage. Our demands is U.S. hands off Venezuela. No more. No to sanctions on the people of Venezuela or illegal, coercive, unilateral measures. And freedom for the Venezuelan diplomat who was kidnapped, Alex Saab.
Free Alex Saab!
So with that, comrades, I will pass it off to Lucy right here to read the Spanish version of this. And then we will have a round of different groups coming over here and speaking their piece and their respects to Commander Hugo Chávez. Can I get a Viva Chávez? Viva Chávez! Chávez viva, la lucha sigue! Chávez viva! La lucha sigue! Chávez viva! La lucha sigue! Chávez viva! La lucha sigue!
A Nueva York, el domingo 5 de marzo de 2023. Este es nuestro pronunciamiento en el 10º aniversario de la siembra de nuestro comandante eterno, Hugo Rafael Chávez Frías. Saludos, amigos, camaradas, internacionalistas, revolucionarios de Nueva York. Gracias por estar aquí. Nos reunimos aquí frente a la estatua del libertador sudamericano Simón Bolívar, hoy para conmemorar la vida y el legado del eterno comandante de la Revolución Bolivariana de Venezuela, de América Latina y del mundo, Hugo Rafael Chávez Frías, quien en este día cumple 10 años de transición al infinito o la siembra de las semillas de la revolución y del socialismo. Estamos aquí para honrar su legado de servicio al pueblo venezolano y latinoamericano y la lucha contra el imperialismo estadounidense y occidental. Gracias. Los revolucionarios de Venezuela y de todo mundo conmemoramos hoy su compromiso con el internacionalismo a través de reuniones, acciones, como en el caso de hoy aquí. Estamos redoblando nuestros esfuerzos para defender los valores socialistas que defendió el comandante Hugo Chávez. El pueblo de Venezuela llama a estas conmemoraciones 10 años de la siembra, porque los partidarios de la revolución bolivariana entienden que, aunque el comandante Hugo Chávez ya no está físicamente con nosotros y nosotras y nosotres, él plantó las semillas de la revolución en Venezuela y su espíritu aún vive a través del trabajo en curso para defender los logros de esta revolución socialista del siglo XXI. Hugo Rafael Chávez Frías era un hombre mestizo afroindígena que provenía de orígenes humildes en los llanos venezolanos, los campos de Barinas. Como un joven militar del ejército de Venezuela, vio de primera mano las atrocidades cometidas bajo el gobierno neoliberal de la Cuarta República de Carlos Andrés Pérez, cuyo gobierno masacró a miles de venezolanos durante el levantamiento popular anticonstitucional del Caracazo en 1989. En respuesta, el comandante Hugo Chávez organizó una insurgencia con otros militares jóvenes, radicales como nosotros y nosotras y nosotres, ¿verdad? Ese grupo estaba conocido como el Movimiento Bolivariano Revolucionario, MBR 200, para la rebelión militar del 4 de febrero de 1992. Esta rebelión militar fracasó. Chávez sería arrestado y antes de ir a la cárcel se dirigió al pueblo venezolano desde la televisión en vivo y él dijo estos dos puntos. La primera es que asumió personalmente la responsabilidad del hecho y la segunda fue acá, la tengo acá. Acá está es que casi no veo aquí. Espérate, déjame voltear esto. Ahora sí. Un momento, por favor, gracias, disculpen. Es que ahora sí tengo un poquito más grande. Ok, aquí estamos.
¡Viva Chávez!
¡Viva Chávez! That's right. ¡Chávez vive!
¡Chávez vive!
¡La lucha sigue!
¡La lucha sigue!
¡Fuera, fuera! La primera es que asumió personalmente la responsabilidad del hecho y la segunda, pronunciando su frase más célebre, por ahora, for now, donde expresó que por ahora el levantamiento estaba suspendido. Por ahora sería la promesa de Chávez a su pueblo venezolano para lo que se manifestaría más adelante. Durante sus 2 años en la prisión de Yare, con su equipo legal, dirigido por la compañera Cilia Flores, esposa hoy en día del presidente Nicolás Maduro, Chávez estaría pensando en construir un movimiento civil. Tras salir de prisión en 1994, Chávez, junto a los grupos de izquierda de Venezuela, como el Movimiento de la Quinta República y el Movimiento al Socialismo, se organizarían para ganar las elecciones presidenciales. El bloque de Chávez tendría éxito en obtener apoyo de las masas venezolanas, ganando el 56.2% de los votos y enviándolo al Palacio de Miraflores en 1999. El gobierno de la Quinta República del comandante Chávez aprovecharía la imaginación revolucionaria de las figuras históricas del patrimonio venezolano, como lo son nuestro prócer libertario Simón Bolívar, que estamos aquí también rindiendo el homenaje a él, Simón Rodríguez y Ezequiel Zamora, dando origen a la revolución bolivariana que lleva el nombre del padre libertador de nuestra América. La revolución bolivariana sería un contraataque hegemónico a la oligarquía venezolana, al consenso de Washington, a la doctrina Monroe, que es un abominable documento que cumple este año 200 años. Esta revolución latinoamericana socialista del siglo XXI aseguraría la democracia popular para los venezolanos afrodescendientes, indígenas, mujeres, estudiantes y trabajadores. Siguiendo la visión continental de Bolívar, la Venezuela bolivariana de Chávez impulsaría una mayor integración de América Latina y el Caribe. Trabajó en establecer mecanismos de integración para incrementar la cooperación a través de organismos como el ALBA, TCP, UNASUR y CELAC, que sería la máxima expresión de la integración continental latinoamericana y caribeña, porque reúne a todos los países de la región forjando la patria grande, la patria mayor. Chávez es amado por el pueblo de Venezuela por oponerse al imperialismo estadounidense y europeo, implementando programas económicos y sociales para sacar a millones de personas de la pobreza. Chávez instauró una democracia donde las personas tienen participación directa y son agentes partícipes de la propia transformación, y bajo su liderazgo, Venezuela nacionalizó sus recursos naturales para beneficiar a gente y logró grandes avances en alfabetización y salud. Chávez es amado por las masas de personas en todo el mundo porque demostró que es posible construir una sociedad donde las necesidades básicas de la vida humana no se mercantilizan, donde la salud, la alimentación, la vivienda, el acceso a la tecnología, el deporte e incluso la cultura están al alcance de todos, todas y todes. El internacionalismo de Chávez fue otro gran componente de su vida. Mostró solidaridad internacional con el pueblo del mal llamado tercer mundo. No somos tercer mundo, no somos patio trasero de nadie, que estaba siendo oprimido por las fuerzas imperialistas. Se pronunció en contra de las atrocidades que se estaban sometiendo contra el pueblo iraquí bajo la presidencia de George Bush. Condenó el Estado de Israel por el maltrato al pueblo palestino. También abogó porque Venezuela tenga fuertes lazos con otras naciones que buscan soberanía y luchan contra el imperialismo estadounidense y el imperialismo global. Países como Rusia, China, Irán y varios países de la madre África también fueron apoyados por Chávez. Chávez incluso mostró solidaridad con los pueblos oprimidos dentro del mismo imperio. Un ejemplo de esto es la visita en 2005 al sur del Bronx, en la ciudad de Nueva York. El sur del Bronx, como una demografía predominantemente de afroamericanos y latinos que viven ahí, se considera el tercer distrito electoral más pobre de los Estados Unidos. El comandante Chávez llegó a la comunidad negra y marrón y mostró su solidaridad con la gente del sur del Bronx al donar 5 millones a grupos de base y para pagar proyectos muy necesarios, como restaurar el río del Bronx, programas intracurriculares, programas de alfabetización y cooperativas de alimentos. En 2007, Hugo Chávez envió aceite de calefacción gratis a familias pobres en el sur del Bronx a través de Cisco Petroleum de Venezuela. Cisco pasó a entregar más de 100 millones de combustible para calefacción a más de 200,000 familias estadounidenses en 23 estados de este país. Es por eso que nosotros como neoyorquinos de clase trabajadora estamos profundamente agradecidos y apreciamos al comandante Chávez por su solidaridad con nuestra gente en el sur del Bronx y en todo Estados Unidos. 50 años después del derrocamiento fascista del presidente socialista Salvador Allende en Chile y los inicios del neoliberalismo a nivel mundial, miramos hacia la revolución bolivariana como un faro de luz para el mundo y nos da la esperanza de que un nuevo mundo es posible para los condenados de la tierra, que el comandante Chávez es una especie de regalo para todos y todas. Él fue para todos y todas. Es por eso que hoy nos solidarizamos firmemente con el legado de Hugo Chávez, el presidente Nicolás Maduro Moros y el pueblo venezolano en la defensa de los logros de la revolución bolivariana y la democracia venezolana. Alto al sabotaje estadounidense y europeo en Venezuela. Nuestras demandas, manos de Estados Unidos fuera de Venezuela. No sanciones para el pueblo venezolano. Libertad para el diplomático venezolano secuestrado en Estados Unidos, Alex Saab. Muchas gracias y bienvenidos, bienvenidas todos y todas y todos.
¡Chávez vive! ¡Chávez vive! ¡La lucha sigue! ¡La lucha sigue! ¡Se vive! ¡Se siente! ¡Chávez está presente! ¡Se vive! ¡Se siente!
Chávez está presente.
¡Se vive! ¡Se siente!
Chávez está presente.
¡Free, free, Alex Saab!
Free, free, Alex Saab.
¡Free, free, Alex Saab!
Free, free, Alex Saab.
¡Free, free, Alex Saab!
Free, free, Alex Saab.
¡Alerta! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta que camina! ¡La espada de Bolívar por América Latina! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta que camina! ¡La espada de Bolívar por América Latina! ¡Chávez no murió!
¡Se multiplicó!
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 Sanctions kill, no to sanctions. Sanctions kill,
No to sanctions!
sanctions kill,
No to sanctions!
sanctions kill.
No to sanctions!
The people united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated.
United will never be defeated.
Okay, now we got this energy out the way. How's everybody feeling? Everybody feels it. I feel this energy right now. This is amazing. I feel like Chavez is right here, right next to us. So what we're gonna do right now, we're going to have.
Yeah, I don't want to go now, but like other workers.
Okay. So right now technically we don't have a list. So what we're doing is we're doing like an open call, open mic, and to see which group wants to go first. You know, to say their just dues, their commemorations to Hugo Chávez. Camilo, would you want to go first, or the Puerto Rican? Huh? Great. So we're gonna have Camilo from the Puerto Rican Nationalist Party, right? There we go. Free, free Puerto Rico! Free, free Puerto Rico! Independencia para Puerto Rico! Independencia
¡Para Puerto Rico!
Independencia
¡Para Puerto Rico!
There we go. Make a round of noise for Camilo.
How you doing? I'm not gonna say a lot, but I just want to read a quote. The United States appears. This is by Simon Bolivar. The United States appears by destiny. Sorry, the United States appears by being destined by providence to plague the Americas with misery in the name of liberty. And this is what we see is still true today. The United States went to Puerto Rico and has colonized it for over 120 years. We want the U.S. out. U.S. out of Puerto Rico, U.S. out of Guantanamo, U.S. hands off of Venezuela, Nicaragua, and all the other countries fighting for liberty. For a united South America, a strong como Simón Bolívar quería. That's it. Viva Chávez.
¡Viva Puerto Rico libre! ¡Viva! ¡Viva Puerto Rico libre! ¡Viva Puerto Rico libre y socialista! So Bill Sachs, all right, he's gonna come up representing Cuba C Coalition. Can we get a Viva Cuba? And the Venceremos Brigade, another brigade I'm a part of. Cuba sí. Cuba sí. Cuba sí. Eso, Viva Cuba.
Greetings, everyone. Viva Chavez.
Viva.
¡Viva!
Now, we know that Chavez and Fidel forged an unbreakable alliance, an unbreakable bond. They were close ideologically, they traded economically, financially, and supported each other against U.S. imperialism. It showed both the internationalism of Fidel and the internationalism of Chavez. In fact, the U.S. offered to lift some of the sanctions against Cuba if they would break their alliance with Venezuela. And you see what, and of course, the Cubans refused, and they today maintain the strongest bonds with each other against imperialism and work together to lift the sanctions and end the blockade. And on behalf of the Vince Ramos Brigade and the Cuba Sea Coalition, National Network on Cuba, and all the solidarity organizations working to end the blockade against Cuba, we stand in solidarity with Chavez, with Maduro, and the Cuban and the Venezuelan people. And it's incumbent upon us in the United States to work to end all the sanctions and the blockade against Cuba. And one way we can do that is come together as organizations in solidarity with Cuba and Venezuela and attend a conference next weekend at Fordham University Law School, which is around the corner on 62nd Street. Jason is handing out palm cards with the details of it, but there will be a delegation from the Federation of Cuban Women coming up from Cuba to speak about conditions there, and also organizations will be talking about planning for the future actions, demonstrations, what we can do here in this country to get the government to lift the sanctions and end the blockade. So we hope to see you there next weekend, Fordham Law School. Viva Cuba!
Viva Cuba!
Viva Fidel! Viva Chavez!
Viva Chavez!
And this is Jason.
Jason.
There we go. Say a word.
Round of applause for Bill Sykes and also Jason Reynolds at the top.
First of all, I'm glad that we're out here to take this moment to commemorate the life of Hugo Chavez, who helped lead the process for what Jose Marti fought for and defended, economic and social justice for the peoples of Latin America, in particular and worldwide. Que viva la herética de Hugo Chavez. Long live the legacy of Hugo Chavez. One additional thing I wanted to say about the conference that's not on the flyer but is online is that, as a matter of clarification, the day portion of the conference will be at Fordham School of Law, a few blocks up. The evening portion, and this part is not on this flyer, but keep this in mind, the evening portion will be at the Malcolm X Betty Shabazz Center on 165th Street and Broadway. That evening rally starts at 7:30, from 7:30 to 10 at the Malcolm X Betty Shabazz Center. Members of the Federation of Cuban Women will be present. There will be representatives of a Puerto Rican delegation of people who went to Cuba and other speakers at that event. Once again, the evening portion of the Cuba conference is at the Malcolm X Betty Shabazz Center, 7:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. But in the meantime, of course, take a flyer, come to Fordham School of Law for the day portion. Thank you.
Cuba sí, bloqueo no. Cuba sí. Cuba sí. Cuba sí. No to sanctions. Sanctions kill. No to sanctions. No to sanctions. I just want to say something really quickly. We have to also be very correct of how we announce these blockades and sanctions. These are illegal, unilateral, coercive measures. Because sanctions mean that this was democratically voted on in the UN, and these were not democratically voted on. These sanctions are illegal, and they're coercive measures to try to stranglehold the peoples of Venezuela, of Cuba, of Nicaragua, of Iran, of other countries that want to have a different project of this struggle of unipolarity, and we need to support multipolarity. So the next person I'm gonna have up is a brother from the Haitian movement from Haiti Libertad, Chimay. Can we say a Viva Haiti? Viva Haiti! The first black republic in our Americas, the first Latin American republic, I would like to say. Because Haitians are Latinos as well.
Thank you very much. I bring greetings from all the comrades at Haiti Liberté and the Haitian community. Many people are not aware of the very close ties between Venezuela and Haiti. In fact, the Venezuelan flag includes the Haitian flag at the bottom, and it was adopted from the Haitian flag. In 1811, after Bolivar launched the revolution, he eventually had to retreat briefly, and where did he retreat to? He retreated to Haiti, where he met with Alexander Pétion, who said, "We will support you. We will send you guns, troops, ships, printing presses, if you will promise to free all slaves in your new country." And Bolivar agreed, and he was sent back. And he came back once again. But Haiti was really the cradle out of which the Bolivarian Revolution was born. And Bolivar recognized this, and Hugo Chávez recognized this. And many people, I'm going to tell you a story most people don't know. In 1991, there was a coup d'etat against Jean-Bertrand Aristide. He was whisked out of Haiti, and Carlos Andrés Pérez agreed to take him for Washington because Washington didn't know where to put him. So they put him in Caracas. I got this story from President René Preval, who was very close to Aristide at the time. And he said, what happened was, at the time, Hugo Chávez was planning the movement with the Revolutionary Bolivarian Movement 200, the coup d'etat that he would try to carry out a few months later. He was beginning to organize among the officers, and one day he got a call from Carlos Andrés Pérez saying, "Come see me immediately, very important." And he didn't know what to do. He thought, maybe we've been discovered. Maybe we've been betrayed. And he didn't know whether to go to the meeting with Pérez or not, or to flee. But he said, I'm going to go. I'm going to take my chances. And when he went to the meeting, Pérez sat him down, and he said, I need you to take your paratroopers to train Haitians to fight back against the coup d'etat that has taken place in Haiti. And it was in fact with the arms and support that he got for trying to bring about the coup, reverse the coup in Haiti, that he was able to carry out the February 1992 coup, and or attempted. And this was ironic because in fact Aristide was convinced to go back to Washington before that movement could happen in Haiti. But in short, Chavez understood the importance of Haiti, and that is why in 2006, the first delegation, the first person that met with President René Preval was Vice President Rangel, who signed the Petro-Caribe Accord. And from 2008 till 2018, Venezuela gave Haiti $4 billion worth of oil. $2 billion of it was put into a solidarity fund in Haiti to support hospitals, schools. And this was the legacy that Hugo Chavez brought to Haiti. And he was celebrated by the Haitian people when he marched with them in 2007 prior to that. So, as Ramsey Clark said 10 years ago at a meeting, many of you may have been at it, at Riverside Church, Hugo Chavez is a giant in the history of Latin America, maybe even greater than Simon Bolivar. Thank you very much.
There we go. Long live Haiti. All solidarity with the Haitian people. You know, there's a saying that I like, the slogan in Creole. I used to work with a Haitian woman. They say, "Coupete boulekai." That's a chop off the head of the slave master and burn their plantation. We want to try to say it. Coupete boulekai. Coupete boulekai. Coupete boulekai. Coupete boulekai. Viva Haiti. So the next person I'm going to have up is a person from the December 12th movement. This Pan-Africanist organization that's also fighting against sanctions against Zimbabwe. No to sanctions in any place, even in Zimbabwe, in our mother Africa. So a round of applause to the comrades.
Greetings from the December 12th movement. Again, we are here to honor the memory and the lasting legacy of Comrade Hugo Chavez on the anniversary of his death. Again, the December 12th movement was honored to attend in 2018 a conference that they held in regard to national liberation and reparations, because as again Hugo Chavez was always almost in his mind the liberation of all oppressed people throughout the world, from Africa, Latin America, and even the United States. So again, as was just mentioned, he was particularly with the sanctions being lifted against the country of Zimbabwe, which the December 12th movement also honors. And again, Hugo Chavez was a man of the people. He freely admitted that he was an Afro-Venezuelan and that he had African roots, and we always want to acknowledge that in his solidarity with the people throughout the world who are struggling to be free. And again, we say, lift the sanctions against Zimbabwe, lift the sanctions against Cuba, lift the sanctions against Venezuela. And again, we send our condolences and our support to Nicolas Maduro and his struggle to maintain the Bolivarian revolution in Venezuela. December 12th movement again says freedom or death to Venezuelan and their struggle to be free and free from oppression and national subjugation. Thank you. Take care.
Yes, round of applause. No to sanctions in Zimbabwe. Let's make some noise for the December 12th movement. You already know that when I think about Chavez, I always think about a quote he once said. He said that, you know, the media, the Venezuelan opposition, that was mostly like white and Creole, made fun of him because of his lips and of his hair being very Afro-descendant. And he said us in Latin America that we have many different mothers, you know, but the most beautiful mother of them all is Africa. He used to always express that. So we have to give him a round of applause for him always being proud of his African heritage and throughout the whole continent. So the next person we're gonna have up is from the Mexican party Morena, Isaac Ramirez. Now we send our greetings and solidarity to President AMLO, Andrés López Obrador, who's been a comrade to many of the anti-imperialist governments in Latin America. Que viva AMLO!
Viva AMLO! Viva AMLO! Viva Mexico!
How you doing, guys? Woo! There you go. Okay. Today we thank Lucy and the movement for inviting us. We are in solidarity as a movement with the people of Latin America, because we had the same struggles for 200 years, more than 200 years. The Monroe Doctrine has invaded us, suppressed us, because as you may know, Mexico has had a lot of trouble with the neoliberalism, con el neoliberalismo, and we struggled for so many years, and our people had been stepped on for so many years as the people in Latin America. And that's why today we support you guys. We stand in solidarity with you guys, people of Latin America. Viva Chávez! Viva! Viva Mexico! Viva! Viva Andrés Manuel! Viva! It's time to unite all of us, Latin America, and stop the US government from applying this doctrine. no more this doctrine. Hands off our countries and let us progress in our own ways, because we can do it. We can progress. But how can they call themselves with the humanitarians when they are putting to our countries how you call that? ¿Cómo se dice? Sanctions, to put sanctions. How can they put sanctions in Cuba for so many years? Long live Cuba! Viva, Viva Cuba! For standing up against this giant who had stepped on them for so many years. Our president, Manuel López Obrador, is in solidarity with your people, because he knows what has been happening. He knows history, and that teaches us every day. That's why many people from other countries, they love our president. Mexico is living this New Year's, is living a new era as the fourth transformation of our country. And he comes to the US and he says, no more. You can take decisions for us, because we are a nation, we are a sovereign nation. Nobody else can take your decision for us but us, the people. That's right. And the same thing with each country in Latin America. They should take their own decisions, not let US put their hands on it. No more US in the hands of our countries.
No more.
Viva Chávez!
Viva Chávez!
¡Viva López Obrador!
¡Viva México!
¡Viva México! ¡Viva López Obrador! ¡Viva México! ¡El pueblo de Emiliano Zapata y Pancho Villa! The people of Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa! You know, there's always a quote I always love to think about, that people, we didn't cross the border crossed us, you know what I mean? We always have to always remember the U.S. stole lands from the Mexican people, which is today California, and Texas isn't even the state of New Mexico. How can it be New Mexico, you know? Yes. That was imperialism. And that's what Chavez understood. Chavez was able to reclaim the original people, who's American and who's truly American, you know, in our Americas, Abayala. So the next person we're gonna have up is from the Honduras, from Libre, from the people, Francisco Murazan, and Manuel Zelaya, and Xiomara Castro.
Can I just say that I feel so proud? This is International Women's Month, right? Working Women's Month, Socialist Women's Month. And in Honduras, we have the only Spanish-speaking president of Latin America, Xiomara Castro de Zelaya. We feel very proud of that, to have the only commander-in-chief be a woman. But not only that, at the Supreme Court level, recently we just elected the first Supreme Court, post-narco dictatorship, backed up by the United States for 12 years. And the president of the Supreme Court is also a woman. So, two powers of the state in Honduras right now are led by women. That is what I consider to be real feminism and real women power, okay? When women are making political decisions at the highest level, that's what's women power, okay? That's what I consider to be women power. I'm proud to come from that country that was able to overthrow a narco dictatorship for 12 years. And now here we are, transforming Honduras. Just following the legacy of President Hugo Chávez, because he taught us, yes, he did teach us, that we could do things differently, and that's exactly what we're doing. So now I'm passing on to my compañero over here, Joseph Diaz, who's a member of the Libre Party, U.S., Canada, and Costa Rica. Very proud. Thank you.
The compañero here, the comrade here, is going to speak in Spanish, and I'm going to interpret.
Buenas tardes a todos, mi nombre es Joseph Díaz. Sí, buenas tardes a todos, mi nombre es Joseph Díaz, miembro del Partido Libre D19, Estados Unidos, Costa Rica, Canadá. Hoy quiero enviar mi mensaje de solidaridad para el pueblo de Venezuela, y estamos recordando hoy, conmemorando la siembra del comandante Hugo Chávez Presente.
So my name is Joseph Diaz. I am part of the D12 Libre Party that's connected with the U.S. and Canada. I am glad to be here to celebrate the planting of Commander Hugo Chávez.
Sí, estamos recordando la siembra del comandante Hugo Chávez, especialmente porque él con el pueblo de Honduras fue muy solidario durante su gobierno. Él implementó la fórmula Petrocaribe en Honduras, que nos trajo combustibles más baratos. Lo mismo redujeron la canasta básica, se redujo el precio de la energía. Entonces él siempre demostró un amor para todo el pueblo de Honduras. Entonces por eso ese día hoy yo estoy acá personalmente para recordar su siembra y toda la lucha.
So I can never forget that Hugo Chávez, Commander Hugo Chávez, was always in solidarity with the Honduran people, with the programs like Petrocaribe, where he would sell affordable gas, oil to the people of Honduras that would be very low price when it comes to energy and all these other prices. And this is why us people in Honduras, we can never forget the solidarity that Commander Hugo Chávez gave to our people, and this is why we are celebrating his planting.
De igual manera también estamos para agradecerle también a toda la gente hoy aquí presente, los compañeros de distintos países. Veo que hay personas de México, de Colombia, de Venezuela. Los veo, muchas gracias por haber estado hoy acá. También quiero recordar que debido a la implementación de Petrocaribe, que fue la fórmula que trajo combustible a precios más accesibles, fue lo que causó el derrocamiento de nuestro presidente constitucional electo en el 2009, José Manuel Zelaya Rosales. Debido a su relación que tenía con el pueblo de Venezuela y el presidente Chávez, causó que los grupos de poder de Honduras fácticos, apoyados por el imperialismo norteamericano y la embajada de Estados Unidos, le dieron un golpe de estado al presidente electo. Son cosas que en Honduras todavía seguimos. Se implementó una narcodictadura por 12 años después de eso. Recientemente, gracias a Dios, ya el pueblo otra vez está en el poder, pero todavía la secuela de haber tenido una dictadura, un narcogobierno, que ahora el que era presidente, Juan Orlando Hernández, está preso aquí en Estados Unidos por narcotráfico. Entonces siempre fueron presidentes apoyados por la derecha, los grupos de poder del país y por la embajada norteamericana.
Ooh, that was kind of long, but no, I could translate all of that. So what basically he was saying is that he said about how he's happy to be here in this commemoration. He sees different countries from Latin America, whether it's Colombia or Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, Brazil's right there, and also just commemorating the contributions that Commander Chávez did with selling affordable gas and energies to the people of Honduras, having Honduras get closer to the Petrocaribe program, which initiated the coup d'etat in 2009 of ex-president Manuel Zelaya. And the reason of this being is because of Manuel Zelaya getting closer to the Petrocaribe program. And all of this was organized by the right wing and by the United States, by the U.S. imperialists. So we are happy 12 years later, within the struggle of this narco dictatorship that we had, that we were able to regain our democracy, and we see that we have to defend it now more than ever today, and also lifting the memory of Commander Hugo Chávez.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias a todos entonces, ¿verdad? Por su atención. Que tengan buenas tardes y hasta la victoria siempre, ¿verdad? Venceremos.
Thank you for having me, and you already know, until victory.
Okay, I'm gonna have some.
So Michelle. We have Michelle here from the Friends of the ATC, esta Asociación Trabajador del Campo, representing Nicaragua. Viva Sandino! Long live the Nicaraguan Sandinista revolution. Now we have Venezuela, we had Cuba, and now we have Nicaragua, part of our troika of resistance.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here with you on the 10th anniversary of the death of el Comandante Chávez. Just earlier today, Comandante Daniel Ortega was arriving in Caracas, along with other dignitaries like Evo Morales, Rafael Correa, and Raul Castro. And I think it's very important that these people are taking time out of their day to come to Caracas to remember Hugo Chávez's legacy. I'm here representing the Friends of the ATC, which is the Rural Workers Association in Nicaragua, which is a revolutionary organization that was born right alongside the Sandinista Revolution in '79. And I think when we think of revolution and revolutionary continuity, a revolution isn't just about revolution in one country, it's a revolution to the world. So without the Cuban Revolution, we wouldn't have the Sandinista Revolution, and without both of those, we wouldn't have had the Bolivarian Revolution. And each of those are separated by a period of 20 years. And we think of the Cuban medical system, which has informed the medical systems in Nicaragua and Venezuela. Those are gifts to the world. And so, revolution is about continuity. It's about developing the highest pinnacle of human development possible. And so I am so honored to be here to talk about Nicaragua and Venezuela and Cuba and how those three have resisted the project of American empire for so long. It's really a blessing that Venezuela continues resisting. And I think about also the fact that things that are crises can be turned into opportunities through the process of revolution. In 1989, we saw the Caracazo, which was the first protest against the IMF, against the project of neoliberalism, which began in that time period. And today, Nicaragua is still standing as a model revolution in defending and supporting the project of regional integration. I also think I think it was 2011 when there were huge. Okay, sorry.
Maybe the battery's Testing. Oh, they're right here.
Yeah. I believe there were huge landslides in Venezuela in 2011, in La Guaira. Tens of thousands of people died and lost their homes. And this was the soil with which La Gran Misión Vivienda began in Venezuela to provide 5 million homes at free cost to the population. Today, we are in the year 2023, and we're closer than ever to 5 million homes built. And that's basically the majority of which has been built after Chávez left. But without his revolutionary legacy and without his foresight, we wouldn't be here. And so I'm just very happy to see where the Bolivarian process develops, and happy to continue defending the project and the project of Latin American regional integration here in the U.S.
Yay! Give a round of applause to our compañera Michelle from the Friends of the ATC. Long live the Sandinista Revolution! Long live the Cuban Revolution! Long live the Bolivarian Revolution! All three sister revolutions, the troika of resistance! Long live Commander Daniel Ortega! ¡Que viva Comandante Daniel Ortega! ¡Que viva Sandino! ¡Que viva la patria del Comandante Carlos Fonseca! So the next person we're going to have up is Bill Doris from Struggle to Lucha.
It's an honor to be here today. We are here today to honor a hero, a champion, a fighter for the people, for the working class in Venezuela, in all Latin America, and all over the world.
That's right.
A man who is beloved, was still beloved, across Latin America, across Africa, across Asia. You see his picture in the refugee camps in Palestine, and in the Bronx, and on the native reservations, and in Appalachia, where the Venezuelan Bolivarian government provided free oil, or cheap oil to the people, which the U.S. government does not allow. And equally as he is beloved by the oppressed people of the world, he is hated by the U.S. corporate ruling class, by the bankers and financiers and oil magnates. They hate him because he took the oil wealth of Venezuela and used it to build 4.2 million housing units for free,
for the people, for the poor, for the working class? Why can't the profits of ExxonMobil and Chevron be taken to build housing for the people here instead of these million dollar apartments for rich parasites? When the U.S. invasion of Iraq succeeded in pushing energy prices, oil and gas prices through the roof, Bolivarian Venezuela provided cheap or low-cost oil to oppressed communities here, to the Bronx, to Appalachia, to the native reservations. And so the U.S. government sanctioned Venezuela to stop the oil from coming in. They don't want people to have cheap oil. They don't want people to have to heat in the winter. They want people to have to choose between heating and eating. When Haiti was devastated by the earthquake, Venezuela provided free oil to the people of Haiti, and the United States government blocked it, used its economic and military power to starve the people of Haiti and prevent them from getting Venezuelan aid, to destroy Venezuela's oil industry. And now they are using a new war, the U.S.-provoked war in Ukraine, and it is a U.S.-provoked war, to increase sanctions around the world. They're sanctioning Venezuela, they're sanctioning Syria, they're sanctioning Zimbabwe, they're sanctioning Russia, they're sanctioning Iran, they're sanctioning anybody who doesn't pay tribute to U.S. corporations, to Wall Street. It's why working class people and oppressed people in this country have to stand with Venezuela, because Venezuela, Bolivarian Venezuela, and Hugo Chávez and Nicolas Maduro stand for us. They are our friends. So we say victory to the people of Venezuela. All the U.S. has brought to Latin America is Operation Condor and terrorism and coups. While Venezuela, Bolivarian Venezuela, under the guidance of Comandante Hugo Chávez, is helping and standing for working class and oppressed people here. Long live Bolivarian Venezuela! End the sanctions! U.S. out of Latin America! All power to the working class!
That's right! Thank you.
Those are powerful words from Bill Doors, from Struggle and Lucha. Give a round of applause. So the next person we're going to have is his brother that I have a lot of love for, because he was part of the organizing of this event. We could have done this without his talented artwork with the flyer, the amazing flyer. I wanted to call up the comrade Richie from Workers' World Party.
Se siente, Chávez está presente, se siente, Chávez está presente, se siente, Chávez está presente, se siente, Chávez está presente. So, greetings everyone, my name is Richie, I'm with Workers' World, International Action Center, Bronx Anti-War Coalition. You can find me anywhere where there's opposition to U.S. imperialism, where there's opposition to capitalism, where there is opposition to the warmongers in Congress. It doesn't matter if they are a Democrat, doesn't matter if they are Republican. They are all U.S. imperialists, and that's what we need to remember, that we cannot go with the lesser of two evils narrative. We need to be in opposition to this imperialist and warmongering government, no matter who's in the White House. But the reason I wanted to speak today is because I want to talk about sanctions and what makes sanctions work. We got to understand that imperialism, at the end of the day, is an economic system. It is the United States and Europe and their control of the IMF, their control of the World Bank, their control of the international payment systems, and its US dollar hegemony. So when it comes to supporting Venezuela and supporting Cuba and supporting all of the nations that are sanctioned by the US government, we need to support those leaders around the world that are trying to end U.S. hegemony and are fighting for multipolarity and are fighting for an alternative international payment system. All right? So our goal right now as revolutionaries, as socialists inside of the Imperial Core, our goal right now should be to oppose our own U.S. government. It should not be to point out the contradictions that exist in other nations around the world. We understand that wherever capitalism exists, there will be contradictions. Our job is to oppose our own bourgeois government, okay? So that we can let other nations develop on their own, whichever is their best way forward, all right? So I just want to leave you with the message that we need to fight against U.S. dollar hegemony. I know economics isn't sexy whatsoever, but we need to start paying attention to these things because the wars are not just fought in a military sense. The wars are fought economically. So we need to be paying attention to that as well. So I just want to say that there is a lot of great organizations here that are doing work to fight this economic system of subjugation that the U.S. imposes. They're imposing this neoliberalism on Latin America, and the people are rising up. So let's support them by opposing our own U.S. government. That is our enemy right here. All right, thank you very much. Se siente, Chávez está presente. Se siente, Chávez está presente.
There we go. Let's give a round of applause for Richie and for that awesome flyer that he did. So the next person we're gonna have up, and this is gonna be like come straight from my heart as a Colombian American, we're gonna have Lourdes speak on behalf of the Colombian people. Colombia is a sister nation of Venezuela. We are Bolivarians too, and we are now more than ever Bolivarians. We're our new popular government of Gustavo Petro and Francia Márquez.
¡Fuera Maduro! ¡Viva Maduro! ¡Chávez vive!
Ignóralo.
¡Chávez vive! ¡Chávez vive!
¡Viva Maduro!
¡Chávez vive! ¡Maduro sigue! ¡Chávez vive! ¡Maduro sigue! ¡Chávez vive! ¡Maduro sigue! ¡Chávez vive! ¡Maduro sigue!
Hola, buenas tardes todos. Mi nombre es Lourdes, yo soy de Colombia, yo soy del territorio más denso de indígenas de los Andes colombianos. Para mí, yo quería tomar un minuto de silencio primero en memoria del presidente Chávez.
Hay que ignorarlo. ¡Chávez vive!
¡La lucha sigue! ¡Chávez vive! ¡La lucha sigue! ¡Chávez vive! ¡La lucha sigue! ¡Chávez vive! ¡La lucha sigue! ¡Chávez vive! ¡La lucha sigue!
Yo me acuerdo varias veces tener la oportunidad de estar al pie de donde estaba el presidente Chávez y siempre había un espíritu tan especial cuando el presidente Chávez estaba en el cuarto. Aquí él llegó a Harlem a hablar y de verdad es a mí todavía me llena de lágrimas porque el presidente Chávez dejó unas semillas tan fuertes y eso hoy en día podemos ver en Colombia. Es la primera vez en la historia de Colombia que tenemos un gobierno que representa al 99%. I was just saying that for me, President Chavez will always be so special. I remember hearing him speak in Harlem and having the privilege of being in different conferences where he was. And the spirit that he brought with him everywhere was just so special. And the seed that he has left in South America and all of Latin America and the Caribbean. And even in Palestine, the people in Palestine love President Chávez. And we see that seed today in Colombia with the first time ever in history that we have a president that represents the 99% and not the 1%. Similar to what happened in Venezuela with the Caracazo, we had La Toma del Palacio, where over 3,000 people died. And this was all at the hands of the elite. So, although today even though we have Gustavo Petro, which represents the 99%, and an Afro-Colombian with Francia Marquez, who is the vice president, we are still, the opposition is fiercely still fighting a lot of the changes that Petro is trying to put through. So I just want to thank President Chávez for the time he was on this earth. And yes, he has multiplied in us and in the president now in Colombia and our vice president, Francia Marquez. Thank you. Viva Chávez!
Viva, viva!
La lucha sigue!
Just want to say, just like my brother here, Camilo Matos, let's not forget that this brother right here, Simon Bolivar, back where he was leading the charges to free the other countries, the main country he wanted to free was Puerto Rico and Cuba.
That's right. That's right.
His lieutenant, a Boricua named Antonio Valero, was there with him. And also the sister, we didn't mention sisters. See this flag right here? That was designed by sisters, okay? The Grito Lagares was led by sisters. So, join me. ¡Que viva la mujer boricua! ¡Que viva! ¡Que viva la revolución! ¡Que viva! ¡Puerto Rico libre! ¡Viva!
Eso, independencia para Puerto Rico. Independencia para Puerto Rico. Que viva Puerto Rico libre y socialista. Viva! So just really quickly, what Sister Lourdes was touching on, I just want to say, as a Colombian American who was born here, I would say that Chávez was able to reconnect me to my roots and for me to understand my connection to my Bolivarian heritage. And I'm very happy to be in front of the statue of Simon Bolivar, of a grand liberator, and proud to say that I'm a Bolivarian and Chavista seed within the empire. It's like right now with the new president, Gustavo Petro, making these connections, reopening relations with Venezuela. After Colombia has been utilized as a proxy state to fight against the sister nation Venezuela, now with Gustavo Petro opening ties with the legitimate president Nicolás Maduro, it reminds me of a lyric of this famous Venezuelan folk singer, Ali Primera, where he sang that La Orinoco y Magdalena se abrazarán. Those are two rivers that tie Colombia and Venezuela together. So long live the unity between Colombia and Venezuela. Far down, since I mentioned Colombia and Venezuela, another country that I'm going to bring up that has the same tricolors as our flag is our sister nation Ecuador. La patria de Antonio José de Sucre, de Alioa Alfaro, de Manuelita Sáenz. We talk about women. She was known as the Libertadora y Libertador. And also of Rafael Correa. So I would like to call up the Comrade Wellington.
Go Wellington. Yeah. Go Wellington.
Buenas tardes, compañeros.
Buenas tardes.
El pueblo en la lucha sigue y siempre seguirá luchando por beneficios del pueblo, de los latinoamericanos, de los trabajadores. ¡Chávez vive!
¡La lucha sigue!
¡Chávez vive!
¡La lucha sigue!
right now situations very critical. As you know, we have a government in Ecuador that is a banker. Not only a banker, but a fascist. And on top of that, he sold everything that we have in Ecuador, everything, every industry in Ecuador that we built up with Korea in 10 years of revolution, he's given up to the imperialism. He's given up to the multi-corporations. And that is a fraud. That is penalty. We in Ecuador, we're trying to get rid of him. I don't think he's going to last his 4 years of presidential. But he's in cahoon with the government of the United States. He's in cahoon with the multi-corporations. And just not long ago, United States gave to the government of Ecuador $100 million to be able to maintain to the people to go to the streets. Because that's what they do. That's what corporations do. They go to our countries, they exploit our natural resources, and they repress our people. They create crisis. They sell our corporate, they sell our industries, and they give our people the worst case scenarios and situations that we have no way of living right now. The security in Ecuador is so bad. We cannot leave the houses without thinking that we're going to come back home alive. Right now it's so critical in Ecuador. And this is the type of government that we have. And people don't know this. People don't know. They think that he's doing building houses. He's creating schools. That's what the speeches that he has. But he lies to the country. He lies to the people. He lies to the world. But we know that he doesn't do nothing. He's been lying for many years after Moreno being a traitor.
That's right.
Moreno was the vice president of Korea, and he became a traitor after he became a president of Ecuador. The people in Ecuador want Korea back.
That's right.
And he's ready.
That's right.
Not too long ago, we have a victory. We have a victory in Ecuador. We all want Korea. We all want Korea to come back and to take over the political situation in Ecuador, because that's what we need. And Chávez has been an example for the Latin America. In Latin America, we need to be together. All the countries of Latin America, we need to become together against the imperialists, against the corporations. So long live to Chávez. Long live to the people of Venezuela. Long live to the people of Cuba. Long live to the people of Nicaragua. Long live to the people that struggle for a better country, for a better world. Thank you very much. ¡Que viva la patria grande! ¡Que viva! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta que camina! ¡La espada de Bolívar por América Latina! ¡El pueblo unido jamás será vencido! ¡Hasta la victoria siempre, compañeros! ¡Venceremos! ¡Venceremos! ¡Que viva el Ecuador! ¡Viva! ¡Que viva el presidente Rafael Correa! ¡Van a regresar la revolución ciudadana! ¡Fuera, fuera Lazo! ¡Fuera la
So something interesting about Ecuador, about Venezuela, and about Colombia, we were all one country, also included Panama, known as the Great Colombia. And that was the great vision of Simon Bolivar, the proud liberator that we're in front of, to have a unified Latin America against imperialist forces from Europe to the United States. And this is why we are here, because this year marks the 200th anniversary of the Monroe Doctrine. That dreaded doctrine which the United States proclaimed themselves as the Americans in the Americas. We are all the Americans. There's different definitions, but people from Central America, Mexico, South America, the Caribbean, we are all Americas. And this is the type of thing that Jose Marti, the Cuban revolutionary, wrote about in Nuestra America. So long live President Hugo Chávez. Long live the Bolivarianism, fighting against Monroeism. Wow, have a chat. Down, down with Monroe. Up with Bolivar. Down with Monroe. Up with Bolivar. There we go. So now the next group, the next nation I'm gonna call up is a country that's one of the biggest in South America. Our querido country of Brazil, where they had a victory, that they were able to take out a fascist like Jair Bolsonaro, who's in Florida. Putin Bolsonaro. But viva Lula! I'm calling up Marianne from the Friend of Democracy in Brazil.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. All comrades from all Latin America countries. We Brazilians representing here the resistance of the Brazilians in New York City. We are here to say no to the embargo to Venezuela. Que viva Presidente Chávez and his legacy to the struggle of all Latin America. As we know, in the 90s, they came with this all neoliberal policies imposing to our countries the suffering, the poverty of the people. In the beginning of the 2000s, we, with our struggle, we conquered governments all over Latin America. Brazil, Venezuela, Peru now, and Ecuador. Together, we created the BRICS in South America. Together, we resist imperialism. But the imperialists, they could not tolerate it, that the natural resources of our countries, especially our oil, in Venezuela, in Brazil, and all over, was given for education, for culture, for housing. They don't want that. And that's why they go with this embargo. They don't want Brazil giving the oil to the education, and they did a coup d'etat in Brazil. It was 7 long years of resistance. But here we are, back with our leaders. The friend of Hugo Chávez, President Lula in power. We are here again to reestablish diplomatic relations with Venezuela. And we will collaborate. But I want to say an alert for us that are here in the socialist front. We have to keep vigilant for Brazil to support Venezuela in all their needs, to go back to exchange, no accepting any pressure that will go back in our friendship, in our solidarity to Venezuela. We, the socialists of Brazil, the people who understand that we do have a government of alliance, but the government is our government. We resist all this time. We, the friends of Venezuela. So Brazil will help Venezuela and we will keep in solidarity. Thank you very much. Venezuela and Brazil, friends forever. Thank you. A la lucha
sim! Lula sim! Lula sim! Lula sim! Muito obrigado, companheira! Yes, la luta continua, like they say in Brazil. La luta continua. So the next person we're gonna have comrades from the Dominican Republic speak. La República Dominicana. Eso.
Buenas tardes.
Va a hablar por ahí.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Un honor para mí que me den la palabra en un acto tan significativo como es este, a nuestra hermana República de Venezuela, a nuestro eterno comandante Hugo Chávez Presente, en solidaridad permanente con el presidente Nicolás Maduro. Mi nombre es Georgeline Morel y hablo en nombre del Movimiento Popular Dominicano, MPD, pero hablo además en nombre de los ciudadanos y ciudadanas dominicanos y dominicanas que no podemos olvidar la solidaridad que nos demostró el presidente Hugo Chávez Presente, el comandante eterno. Una solidaridad que en el presente repercute en nuestro país. Perdón que el compañero va a traducir.
I'm gonna translate. It was very long, but she was saying good afternoon to everybody. What a pleasure to be here to commemorate, have this commemoration of the sister nation of Venezuela and commemorate Commander Hugo Chávez. I come from a popular movement of Dominicans here in New York City, where we mobilize the Dominican citizenship, the Dominican diaspora here in New York City, and it's an honor to be here. That we can never forget the solidarity that Hugo Chávez showed to our homeland.
Le decía que hablo en nombre del Movimiento Popular Dominicano, MPD, y un camarada de este movimiento, quien se llamó Amin Abel, escribió antes de ser asesinado por el gobierno opresor del año 1970, encabezado por Joaquín Balaguer. Este camarada, Amin Abel, dejó un escrito titulado América Latina busca su camino. Y hoy vemos que el camarada estaba en lo cierto. América Latina busca su camino. Y lo vemos en el hermano pueblo venezolano.
So I come here representing the popular movement of Dominicans. I come here representing after a woman comrade. ¿Cómo se llama la mujer? Ana Vélez. Amina Vélez. Amina Vélez. Amin Abel. That she wrote. She was present against the right-wing administration of Joaquín Balaguer, and that she wrote about how Latin America is finding its own path, how Latin America finds its own struggle, its own path, its own destiny, and that we see it now more than ever with the sister nation of Venezuela.
América Latina busca su camino. Lo vemos en Venezuela, decía, lo vemos en Honduras, lo vemos en Colombia, lo seguimos viendo en todos los países como Brasil, y lo vamos a seguir viendo, y lo vamos a seguir viendo, porque esta lucha de años, esta lucha de siglo, ya empieza a rendir su fruto, y para esto necesitamos continuar unidos todos los pueblos, que buscamos la autodeterminación de los pueblos. Hoy, decía, es un honor que me den la palabra en este momento. La revolución bolivariana cuenta con los pueblos hermanos que demuestren esa solidaridad, y eso es lo que debemos hacer permanentemente.
So yes, it's a big honor to be here to speak in commemoration of the Bolivarian Revolution and how the Bolivarian Revolution is demonstrating new pathways for Latin America, and how many other of the sister nations within the continent have to join forces and support and defend the Bolivarian Revolution. So what an honor it was to speak here.
Finalizo dándole las gracias nuevamente y recordando que la autodeterminación de los pueblos amerita de mucho sacrificio, pero que ese sacrificio, como hasta hoy, va a seguir rindiendo sus frutos. Compañeros, compañeras, la lucha es ardua, el camino que falta por recorrer también lo es, pero de nosotros depende que la revolución bolivariana se mantenga de pie. No van a vencer a Venezuela, no van a vencer a Petro en Colombia, no van a vencer a Xiomara en Honduras, no van a vencer a Lula en Brasil, ¿ya? No van a vencer la nueva presidenta de Brasil, presidente de Brasil. Vamos a seguir unidos, no nos vencerán, no nos moverán. Gracias, compañeros y compañeras.
El pueblo
Eterno comandante
unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Y no nos da la gana de ser una colonia norteamericana. Y sí nos da la gana de ser una potencia latinoamericana. Vamos a hacerlo otra vez. Y no nos da la gana de ser una colonia norteamericana. Y sí nos da la gana de ser una potencia latinoamericana. ¡Que viva la Unión Latinoamericana! ¡Viva la patria grande! ¡Viva! Pakistan, vamos a tener un compañero de Pakistán. We're gonna have a comrade from Pakistan speak from Asia. Hugo Chávez was a fan of global solidarity with the peoples of, well, who's gonna correct me, of the third world, but of Asia, Africa, you know, building South by South ties.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, peace for everybody. It's really an honor for me as a Pakistani, the nation will never ever feel any defeat and any fear to challenge the imperialists and the superpower. I can't say the name, United States after Second World War, which is a superpower, but it's a super criminal against the whole world. As an immigrant and as a Muslim, I can tell you that at this moment, how much we were proud to stand with the Vietnamese, how much we are proud to stand with the Palestinian, and how much we feel proud to stand with the Kashmiri people. A lot of people don't know in this world that no nation sacrificed the people, human life, human babies, more than the Kashmir Valley people against the Indian. 900,000 army occupied Kashmir Valley since 1947. So I'm from that nation, but I'm really proud to stand with you. Every speaker who speaks over here, they tell the truth. And they talk about the hero of the conscious, Mr. Hugo Chávez.
That's right.
The hero of the conscious of the world regarding about Cuban leadership, Dr. Che. And Honduras people, the latest struggle of the Honduras people, and especially the women, the struggle of the Honduras women. As a teacher, as a journalist, I'm really proud. And never forget the struggle of the Haitian people. They suffered, but they are the first African nation who got the freedom, who kicked the white people. And let me be honest with you, as a history, if I ask you anybody
who was the first leader in the world who ended the slavery? I can tell you. 1400 years before, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, my prophet, last prophet, he ended the slavery in the world. He said no more slavery. And he said this woman has the same right. So at this moment, let's stand and remember our heroes. Let's fight and stand with the African nation. And I hope the best for the Nigerian people who just got the election. And I hope the South African people, which has the highest rate crime and corruption in Vietnam. The reason is this: anytime when you got the liberation and you kicked your occupier, when you kicked the colonials like a UK, like nowadays America and the European Unions, you have a big problem that your leadership compromise. Your leadership, your leader and unions, they compromise for the freedom. But the message is very clear from those countries, from that nation which they called most illiterate, have no money, they have no money. I'm talking about the Taliban. The 21st century, the freedom fighter and the winner of the freedom fighter is the Taliban in Afghanistan. What's their crime? They just want to rule there by their own, not by the Washington, not by the Moscow, not by the Brazilian, no. They don't want to rule by anybody, they just want to rule. Yes, they have a lot of problems. They need education, they need more industry. But at this moment, my country, United States, where I'm at this moment over here, they confiscated their $10 billion belong to the poor Afghani people. So we are here for the freedom of speech. This picture is belong to Julian Assange. I'm here standing as a leader of the immigrant movement. Yeah, free Julian Assange. And when you say free Julian Assange, we have to say the woman, greatest woman from Pakistan, Dr. Afia Siddiqui, who got the 86-year jail as a woman in this country without any charges, without any proof of the gun and residue. Why? Because she challenged the imperialist powers, the superpowers. But as a doctor, as a Harvard student, I'm proud of my Pakistani lady. She's in jail in Texas somewhere. Ms. Dr. Afia, we are with you. And I want to say thank you for everybody who was in the part of the movement for the better life for the asylum seekers, for the better life of the immigrant people over here and migrant people. And we are stand with every whistleblower who tell us what's the bullshit done by in Washington, by these all big people. So please keep your struggle. Yes, sometimes we have a big problem among us, but the goal is very clear. We cannot accept any colonialist, any occupier in this world. And we want to get rid of these banks, IMF, this kind of stuff, because they are the tools, these international NGOs, just like they use the United Nations. So we have very much clear, and we have given the message from this New York today, that we will follow the footsteps of the rich Hugo Chavez, who never keep the money in their own banks. No, he gives the money to the poor nation. Look in the Bronx. He helps the people over there, give the oil. $4 billion somebody told me to give to the other countries. So we need this kind of leadership to care about the other people, other nations. And you are one of those which I think I have to salute all of you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Long live freedom, long live free countries, long live United Nations Charter and the woman's right. Thank you very much.
Long live international solidarity. That was a big component of Commander Hugo Chavez. Wanted to make connections, not just in Latin America, but with the peoples of the world, side by side, South by South relations, and especially to the people of the United States, the oppressed, which he always taught his Venezuelan people that there's a difference between the government of the United States and the people of the United States. He once said that the day that imperialism gets overthrown and that the people will live in peace and tranquility. He called the people of the United States the righteous people, the people of Dr. Martin Luther King. And that's who we are. We are the people of Dr. Martin Luther King, of Malcolm X, of Franny Lou Hamer. Long live. And now, the next person I'm gonna have speak, he's gonna speak on behalf of the Free Alex Saab campaign. But it's a grand honor, because there's a comrade, a compa of mine of the Troika Collective. And this person right here was a person that, when I went to Venezuela my first time in 2019 in the Student University Congress, I have been to Venezuela twice, but my first time was with this guy right here. And you know, in Instagram and social media, you know him as a Gringo Chavista, but his name is Dakota Lily. So Dakota.
That's right. Woo! Go Dakota!
Hello.
Hello.
So I want to talk a little bit about Alex Saab, someone who was fulfilling the mission that Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro were put on this earth to do, and that is bring food to the Venezuelan people, bring medicine to the Venezuelan people. And how has this turned out for Alex Saab? He is currently in a prison in South Florida, and that is the true crime. How dare the United States, who has sanctioned and murdered and sponsored coups and done economic warfare and unilateral coercive measures, how dare they imprison a man for feeding the hungry? Hungry people who are caused once again by the same sanctions that the United States has placed on Venezuela. And that is the unforgivable crime to the oligarchy in the United States and in Latin America, to bring food and medicine, healthcare, education, and housing. It's the same reason that they hated Hugo Chavez, the same reason that they hate Rafael Correa and Evo Morales and Cristina Fernández de Kirchner and Lula da Silva and Dilma Rousseff and so many others, Raúl Castro, Fidel Castro, AMLO, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, Señor Ortega, Zelaya, Xiomara Castro, so many people that we can look to, and people in the United States, poor people, workers, women, students, professors, everyone needs to look at these beautiful examples, especially in Latin America. You know, they called the 90s in much of Latin America the lost decade. But in the 2000s and in much of the 2010s, we had a Juan decade. The middle class in Argentina doubled. Education, food, housing. These are things that people, for the very first time in their lives, they experience under the leadership of these people. No one can put a price on the first time one sees a dentist. The first time one feels they are allowed to smile because now they have the dentures that they finally need. This is the example of Chavez, the example of Alex Saab, the example of the last 20 years in America Latina, and that is why, that is the main threat that they pose. The threat of a good example to the people of the United States. Thank you.
Round of applause for the Dakota Lily, the Gringo Chavista. This is what Chavez has done. He's even turned gringos into Chavistas. So we say, free, free Alex Saab. Free Alex Saab. Free Alex Saab. Free Alex Saab. You know what we want to say? We want to propose before we leave with the groups that's still here. We're going to end very soon. That we should create a group or a coalition in freeing Alex Saab. Because we need to be in constant solidarity within the belly of the beast against these sanctions, against these illegal, unilateral, coercive measures that are made to starve the people of Venezuela. That's why when they want to say, why are Venezuelans migrating out of Venezuela, it is not because of socialism. It is not because of a regimen. It is because of the sanctions that is asphyxiating the economy of Venezuela. And this is why we have to do the work here, compañeros, compañeras, to be in solidarity and to demand the United States lift these illegal, unilateral coercive measures on the people of Venezuela, on people of Cuba and Nicaragua and the other 40 countries. So it starts with us doing campaigns like freeing Alex Saab, who's a hero to the Venezuelan people. Viva Alex Saab!
Viva!
Viva Maduro!
Viva!
Viva Chávez!
Viva!
Viva Bolivar!
Viva!
Okay, so if we haven't, nobody else to speak, we could end it, or Lucy, that's it? Or Lucy, you said people can take the candles?
Yes, and we'll see. If we don't take the candles, they're gonna throw them away, and you know it was hard to keep them lit because of the wind. So if you want to take one candle and light it in your house in memory of President Hugo Chávez, we really appreciate that. So each of you can take a candle. Also, let's hope that next year we'll do the same thing and we'll bring more people to be here by the statue of Bolivar, right? Our amazing prócer libertario, el prócer libertador, and to continue the legacy of Chávez and to continue to pay homage to the legacy that Chávez left for all of us. And this is why in Latin America today we have all these amazing countries that are going against neoliberalism, against imperialism, and it is because of all the 20 years of 21st century socialism. We all are following the footsteps that President Hugo Chávez left behind us, from Honduras all the way to La Patagonia, from the Caribbean all over. This is what we are following. It's time for no return. Latin America is not going back, we're going forward. No more imperialism, no more capitalism, no more liberalism, and yes to socialism in Latin America. Hasta la victoria siempre. Venceremos. ¡Viva las mujeres!
Just really quickly, I was wondering, does everybody want to take a picture before we all leave?
Yes.
Let's take a picture.
Let's take a group picture.
A group picture.
Woo-hoo.
What do you mean?
If you want to take a candle right here, you take a candle and you light it in your house. Keep the light on. Keep President Hugo Chávez light on. Are you in the picture? Right here? Come to the picture at the bottom. Anybody that wants to take a candle home? Go take it. You're having the picture? Yes. Anyone else? Right here. Venga la foto. Vamos a la foto. Vamos a la foto.
Take a photo with my phone, please.
Wait.
Está frio, companheiro.
Não pode tirar uma com esse telefone.
Tá bom, não é? Ah, sim. Ali da frente.
Adelante, ¿no?
Sí. Ok, perfecto.
Con el brazo levantado. Hago un video.
Ok. Vamos a hacer Chávez vive, la lucha sigue.
Chávez vive, la lucha sigue. Chávez vive, la lucha sigue. Chávez vive, la lucha sigue.
Chávez vive,
la lucha sigue.
Alerta que camina la espada de Bolívar por América Latina. Alerta que camina la espada de Bolívar por América Latina. Alerta que camina la espada de Bolívar por América Latina.
Chávez no murió.
Se multiplicó.
Chávez no murió.
Se multiplicó.
Chávez no murió.
Se multiplicó.
Eso, vio la patria grande.
¡Viva!